For 2025, the White House didn't just commemorate the Monroe Doctrine, it's trying to bring it back. I'm Steve Hendrix with your Global Minute. The Monroe Doctrine began in 1823 as a warning to Europe. No new colonies in the Americas, no more domination of newly independent states. It came at a very specific moment in history. Napoleon had been defeated. Much of Latin America had won independence from Spain and Portugal. The world's empires were looking for a chance to reclaim their lost territories. So the Monroe Doctrine was a hemispheric shield. The Americas, newly liberated, would not return to European control. Over time, it morphed. It became a tool for U.S. interventions, especially under the early 20th century corollaries that claimed the right to police Latin America. Then came Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the Good Neighbor policy. It was a deliberate shift away from gunboat diplomacy. FDR argued that stability comes from respect, partnership, and restraint, not from dictating outcomes to sovereign nations. It worked. Latin America responded with trust, cooperation, and a willingness to see the U.S. as a partner, not an occupying power. This week, the White House marked the 250th anniversary of the Monroe Doctrine, reviving its languages, its claims, and its worldview. The administration revives a tired, old-style sphere of influence mindset, void of ethics. It frames the Western Hemisphere as something the United States controls. It adds a so-called Trump corollary, claiming unilateral authority in the region. That's not how the post-World War global system works. And it's not how successful American diplomacy works either. Presidents from Eisenhower to Kennedy, Carter, Obama, all engaged Latin America as equals. They invested in development, democracy, economic cooperation, and regional institutions. We also need to be honest about the darker chapters. Eisenhower helped overthrow Guatemala's democracy. Kennedy launched the Bay of Pigs. Johnson and Nixon backed Operation Condor. Reagan fueled proxy wars in El Salvador and Nicaragua. And yes, George H.W. Bush invaded Panama while Reagan ordered the invasion of Grenada. So the record is mixed. When the U.S. acts like a partner, it wins influence. When it asserts dominance, it loses influence. Despite the mistakes, the arc of U.S. foreign policy since 1945 has been towards something better, toward international law, multilateral norms, a world where power is constrained by rules rather than exercised by fiat. That's the post-war global order the United States helped build, defend, and at best embody. Today, with Russia and China actively courting Latin America, the greatest strategic mistake we can make is pushing our neighbors away by reviving doctrines from the 1800s. Leadership in this hemisphere should be earned through respect, diplomacy, and shared prosperity, not by invoking language of entitlement. A stable hemisphere isn't built by force. It's built by trust. I'm Steve Hendrix. This is your Global Minute.